Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. Welcome back to a league discussion, a dev update as it were, and this one is all about behavioral systems. It's the update for May. I don't know about you guys. The first thing I'll say, I've not read this. It came out yesterday. This will probably be today's second video. I am noticing a lot more pop-ups when I log in, and even after games, if someone genuinely has been toxic or inting or running it down, I am noticing those pop-up boxes a lot more saying, hey, a player's been punished, a player's been punished, a player's been punished. And hell, you even get those boxes now that say, on a report that someone else did, thank you very much, Sid Yo, a report that someone else did in your game, someone got punished even though you didn't report that person. So it is becoming more noticeable. Let me know if it's becoming more noticeable for you. And Sid Yo, 11 months tier 1, thank you so much, dude. But the only thing I will say that as a caveat is, I'm not sure about you guys. It's good to have those pop-ups coming up, but without the context of what the punishment is, a lot of the time I don't really care. Like, yeah, it's nice to see it and you go, oh, cool. But does that mean a player's just been muted? Like, I actually think to give more gravity to it, it wouldn't be a bad thing to say, hey, a player that you reported has been given a 3-day suspension or a week suspension, or hey, that person was really bad, they have been permanently suspended. I don't know if that's a negative. That's the thing I would say. I don't know if Riot would ever do that. I know in, when it comes to league partner reports, it's the system that as a league partner I've got available that I can kind of directly contact a Rioter with information. They can look into it. It's very much the same system as you submitting a support ticket, not just reporting it in the game of League of Legends. But we're officially not allowed to know the outcome of those situations. So even if someone is astronomically toxic, they're running it down, you'd hope that person would get a permaban. Riot cannot tell us what the outcome is. And obviously you can kind of guess sometimes if you go on one of those accounts, have a look. Good situation. About a week ago, maybe by now, in one of my games, I probably explained it potentially in video. Well, you might not even seen those videos because I'm so ahead on content at the moment, which is good. But we had a Viego that offered to trade with me. So I was mid or jungle, and he offered to swap. So I played jungle. He played, oh no, it was bot lane, I think. He played Viego bot lane, inted, ran it down after like 5 minutes, and had a barcode name, was a level 32 account, kind of the stereotypical toxic account nowadays. And I have since checked that account, I think yesterday, and he's not played, well, he played a few more games doing inting behavior in those games as well, and he's now not played for 4 or 5 days plus. So hopefully, eventually that account got banned. So, I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So, hey, players, make sure you can actually read where I'm reading. It's Hannah Tim Tam Monster Din. Your product lead for behavioral systems. Today, I want to dig a little deeper in some of the results we've been seeing from the recent changes and features we've added to tackle some of the biggest player behavior points you've been feeling in League. I will say, again, I've not read this yet, if they don't mention at all the kind of, I'd even call it pandemic of level 30 fresh accounts, they are the toxic behavior in League, I would say mostly at the moment, then there's not really much point talking about anything else, because the vast majority of toxicity that I see is from level 30 to 35 fresh accounts that have been bought for $2, €1, and those players just simply don't care. That's the bigger issue now, but we'll see. So, as is always the case with behavioral systems, we are constantly trying new strategies and approaches to improve our effectiveness in this space. We know that in the past you have been unsatisfied with the effectiveness of our system to protect your league experience. So we've been applying your feedback and large amounts of research in the space to try new kinds of solutions, which I will say, I do think they have. As I said, the pop-up boxes are happening more. They are becoming more, I think punishments are happening more often, which is good. Because again, we just don't want a toxic experience in League when it is a toxic game, let's be honest. And the result has been promising. You've been telling us that our recent changes have made significant positive differences on how players are acting in your games. We know there's still much more to do, but these changes are giving us a lot more confidence that we're moving in the right direction. And we're looking forward to making even more impact on preventing disruptive behavior from ruining your experience in game. Some of the big changes we've introduced are automatic muting. That has been good. Obviously, I don't use chat anymore, but still, that is a good thing. And then full integration of our upgraded game agnostic text evaluation service called Gates. Machine learning models allow us to take action over 15 times the amount of disrupted text than previously. We were thrilled to release this as something we've been working on for many months. The only thing I will say to that, again, the whole 15 times, Riot does do this quite often in these dev things. They'll throw things like that 15 times, but they'll never give what the initial data set was. You know, because again, machine learning models allow us to take action on over 15 times the amount of disruptive text than previously. It was never taken seriously before at all. Like there was no automated modeling system that was looking at disruptive text in game. So 15 times, yeah, it sounds great by principle, but in reality, it's probably not that impressive because before it did nothing. So this is what Riot, I will say, sometimes does do, is they really big up their data without actually providing any context. It says, as a result of the changes made in late 2022, we have heard this improved your experience. So again, that's okay. I'll get onto that in a second because that's another thing Riot always does. So player behavior system successfully protect the game experience increase of 7%. Again, we still don't have the baseline data at all. So what is, you know, was the player behavior system successfully protect the game experience increase of 7%. How is that being defined? You know, there's no protecting the game experience. How is that in a percentage? You know, that just doesn't quite make sense. Riot Games implements effective programs for discouraging negative behavior increase of 9%. Again, we don't really know what that means. And Riot Games implements effective programs for encouraging positive behavior increase of 6%. This data means nothing because we don't have what it was before. Increase of 6% when it could have been absolutely nothing before. So even an increase of 6% is still nothing. And then the bigger thing, and Riot, and I would say they've done this for years, they're graphs, man. So you look at this graph and go, oh, look how good the graph looks, right? Look how amazing this looks. Look at the big spike of weekly transgressions of like how many people more are getting reported. They're not reporting anything on the y-axis. Nothing. There's no y-axis label. So for example, this could be, let's just say, just give a random number, weekly transgressions. So this would be the amount of weekly reports it would be if it was labeled. So let's just say here, for argument's sake, it's 100, right? The mean of this is 100. They could easily label this, like the next tier up could be 101. But they're misrepresenting it by making that gap so big. It's, if you don't label the y-axis, we can't actually see how effective any of it is. You have to label the y-axis for us to know how big of a gap that actually is. If you don't label it, it could be a big gap, like they're trying to show it is, or in actual data, it could be nothing, but you're just making the data set look wide. Like, you need to label the y-axis, otherwise it's a meaningless graph. So, yeah. Because, again, the distance between this and this could be marginal, but they're showing it massive. It's partially... It's not misrepresenting it, but they're trying to show it's bigger than it actually is. So, clearly, yes, the date, you know, the amount of transgressions of people getting punished is going up. Great, cool. So, it's not it's not saying it's the wrong... They're not showing it as a wrong thing. It is going up, but it's misrepresenting potentially how much it's going up. When in reality, if you actually had, like, let's say this is 100 transgressions per week, then it would be like 110, 120, 130. I imagine if they properly labeled it, there would not be a very big gap. But because they haven't labeled it, they can make that gap as big as they want. So, yeah, it's quite funny, but it's the way Riot have always done it. Well, for someone that is just glancing at this, reading it, they go, oh, that's amazing, well done, right? And they'll just move on. But when you actually look into it, it is just stupid. It's really dumb. But anyway, again, I will say I do like data. My whole dissertation in university, some of you may remember, was completely data-driven. A lot of you, if you're a really old viewer, probably helped me with my university dissertation that I did do content creators affect the gaming industry? And over 10,000 people replied to my surveys. So all my dissertation was data crunching. So when it came to graphs and stuff, I got good into making graphs. So seeing something like that really irks me a bit, because I actually got offered a data job from my dissertation. It's one of the jobs I turned down from university, was a data job. It was a data analyst. I was offered a junior game dev job and a data analyst job. Turned both of them down, obviously. So some of the key learnings we're taking away from these results are: we reduced the time between the offense and players' penalties and ensured our features reach the maximum number of players, and proactively protected players before they are harmed. So I will say that is nice, and I will say I agree to that partially, but again, they're not giving any actual facts here. But from playing a game with a toxic player, to me, it has been, in personal experience, there has been a quicker sense of that pop-up happening of player has been punished. Where before, obviously, it never potentially even got, you know, it never popped up. So that's good. And any improvement in that is going to be good. The only thing I will say is, like, again, that Viego play that I spoke about, you know, a little while ago, clearly a toxic player on a level 32 account, not caring, inting, running it down, building tier in every single item slot or sapphire crystal. He then continued to play like 4 more games before something happened. That still is quite slow. You know, someone is actively making, you know, think of it. If he trolled actively in 5-6 games, Hmando, before getting actively punished, well, that's 4 teammates per game. Let's just say 5 games. That's 20 odd teammates that have just lost LP for no reason, you know? It's a bit harsh. Anyway, so we released some of the other features this year, including party chat. Yeah, sure, which allows you to only chat with your pre-made teammates. We know that can often be a safer and more protected environment to communicate in your pre-made team rather than your entire team. I will say, like, if you're playing pre-made, if you're not then on, like, Discord, that's a bit weird. Again, especially if you play duo queue, make sure you are on voice comms with your duo, because the point is, if you're duoing, your MMR is being increased because you have the advantage of, like, communication, or it's supposed to have advantage of communication. You have advantage of strategy, you have advantage of many things. If you're then not using that advantage of communication by talking to each other, there's not much point doing a lot of the time. But yeah. We know that it can be often be say. So yeah, we created new commands for muting yourself and deafening all players. That has seemed quite good. And most recently, we've released a in-game reporting, allow you to report disruptive behavior right when it happens. I'll say again, that is quite good. The fact that I know even myself forgot many times to report disruptive behavior. Like when you're in the game and someone's doing something, you kind of forget in the moment to report it. So the fact that you can just report it straight away, I bet that has definitely helped and had an uptick in people getting punished, because more people are going to remember. And just remember, in your match history, if you forget to do it in game, you forget to do it at the end of the game, you can now report in match history as well. So yeah. So we've also been continuing to improve our existing solutions for game ruining behaviors. We extended our credibility modules using problem matter disruptive behavior based on number of reports across multiple report categories. We added penalties for players anytime they leave an AFK game. So that is, again, a big thing, is we added penalties for players anytime they leave or AFK. I still think potentially they need to increase detection. I've had several teammates that have just been AFKing clearly in our base, but they just right click every now and then. They don't get detected. Like, they're not getting detected. But in essence of actual playing the match, they're in essence AFK. I'd like if Riot tried to look into that a bit more. And I know they did last year. You now can get detected AFK if you're just standing still, I think, anywhere in the map on the map. Obviously, it's quite known for Teemo players at the start of the game. Some of those Teemo players that beeline it to top lane and then hide in a bush and stealth, they're getting AFK detection. And it's even happened that the game has detected them AFK enough to give their teammates a opportunity to do a remake. So, yeah. And then what's next? In the next few months, we'll be restricting ranked players. Whoa! Are they doing it? Whoa, okay. That's something old. In the next few months, we'll be restricting ranked play for players who've been punished by our systems. This means that if you're punished for disruptive behavior, including intentionally feeding, multiple AFKs, and severe chat abuse, will be restricted from accessing the ranked queue, and you'll need to play in other queues to re-unlock the ranked queue. Okay, so this actually happened years ago. Sorry, I've just noticed it's this paragraph here. So yeah, if you're newer to the game, this is actually something that Riot used to do years ago. I want to say, God, nearly 10 years ago. The reason why they got rid of this is because then it did ultimately hurt the normal game experience. Because if you think about it, you get all these toxic people, you ban them from ranked, you've got to play 10 games of normals to get back into ranked. That then puts the toxic people in normals. But in principle, and you know, that was 10 years ago, what potentially has changed is their detection systems are much better than they were 10 years ago. So if that toxic player goes to a normal game, has to play 10 normal games to then go back into ranked, but if they're toxic in those normal games, the detection should be able to pick that up, and then it could either extend their stay in normal games or could just give them a proper ban. I don't know. Because I do hope, by the way, it's not time-based, but I think that's what they're going with, because I think Riot have done it in both ways. They've done it in time that, oh, you're banned from ranked for a week, but that isn't really a bad thing for toxic players. A lot of the most toxic players have tens of accounts. So, oh, I get banned on one account, I'll go on another account. That's not a punishment. If you make it a minimum amount of games you actually have to play and not be toxic in, that's a better system, because even if they go, okay, I just won't play on that account, they go back to that account in a month's time, it's still locked out of ranked because you haven't played those normal games. I think that is probably a good system to have, but yeah. So while there may be concerns around disruptive players moving to other queues, we recognize that the environment of ranked queue results in considerably more disruptive behavior. True, because your ranked is on the line. These restrictions will also be in addition to all existing punishments for players. So for players who are constantly disruptive, they will receive account bans where they will be unable to play any games no matter what queue for a specific period of time. We'll be monitoring disruptive behavior in other queues to ensure it doesn't measurably increase after the release. So presumably if it goes really bad for normal games, oh my god, it's made normal games so much different or bad, they'll probably revert this, to be honest. But yeah. And then finally, as you know, we have 2 splits this year's ranked season. There won't be a separate reward for honor at the end of the first split, and instead will be calculated on an annual basis. This means end of season rewards will be awarded near the end of the calendar year. Oh, really? I thought they actually... I'm pretty sure when they actually announced the whole split thing, they said there were going to be kind of 2 things. I thought there were going to be 2... I don't know, maybe not. But yeah. While the majority of what we covered here is more text or social-based interactions, we're also looking to get some in-game behavior impacting situations, and we'll have updates on that front soon. And then we know it's a critical place, blah, blah. So they have not touched on the bad thing, the pandemic, as it were, of the $1 or €1 accounts that is just happening all over. I'm about to go play ranked after recording this, and I'm probably going to bump into... If I play 5-6 games today, I reckon 3 or 4 of those games will have a close to level 30 account. That is a fresh bought account. You can literally scroll in the match history and it was leveled in, you know, the intro. They're always botted accounts. It's becoming a bad thing. You know, and I'm fine with Smurfs. Smurfing can be a positive thing in some ways. If, you know, you locked yourself to mid lane, you can then make a Smurf to then train top lane instead of putting your primary rank on the line. I think that's a healthy thing. The thing that I think what potentially Riot may have to do is either 2 things. One, they may have to make it so to play ranked, you actually have to connect a mobile number. Obviously, this isn't an absolute showcase way of stopping it. You can get mobile numbers online for pennies, but it's another layer. You know, it's another thing that if someone has to do, it's another thing that will be annoying for them to kind of sign up for. But if you're actively just playing on 1 to 3 ranked accounts, you can use the same mobile number, but if you be toxic on one account and get banned, all of it, you know, all of your accounts get punished if they're linked to the same number. I think that would be healthy. Or, and I will say this is the bigger thing, potentially Riot may need to look into the ranked starting of, obviously, historically it's always been level 30 of when accounts can start ranked. Maybe that should be raised. And obviously, yes, that doesn't stop people just botting accounts to like level 50, but it takes longer. It kind of disrupts it a bit. Or, again, this is another thing, maybe Riot should look more closely to accounts that are beginning ranked when it comes to like a level 30 to level 40 ranked account. Maybe they should have a bit more of a magnifying glass on them in terms of their behavior. Because, again, in my last month or so, the worst behaving accounts have literally always been the level 30 to level 35 accounts, because they're the people that have just bought them and they don't care. So let me know what you think, but at least things are happening. The only thing I wish with these is just Riot doesn't try to skew the data in the way to show it's being so much better than it probably actually is. It's just silly if you actually pay attention. But it is moving in the right direction, at least. But anyway, that's going to be it. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you're having a better experience somewhat. I'd say I'm having a better experience in terms of, yes, it does feel that toxic behavior is getting punished quicker. But at the same time, I actually feel toxic behavior, especially in-game behavior, because obviously I don't use chat, so I don't see it, is happening more often. I'm seeing more inting, more AFKing than I basically ever have. And it is because of those level 30-odd accounts. So I think the next dev blog, we need them to talk about that. But anyway, that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, to end the video, 53 months from Chimando. Thank you very much, my dude. But I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal